Once upon a time, I lived in this quaint, dreamy French town to the west of France called Angers, and I fulfilled my French dream. And just like me, many others lived a different version of this same dream, some in Lille, while others in Nice. Do you know what this dream is all about? Salut tout le monde and namaste. This is Karishma from lakahaanifrancaise, and on my account, I talk about everything French. If you haven't guessed it yet, what I was referring to the French dream as is in fact assistant d'anglais or TAPIF. And if you've been following me on Instagram for a while, you would already know what this program is all about. And if not, now's your chance. Go and follow me right now. For those of y'all who don't know, I'm going to explain you all in brief. Assistant d'anglais is a program organized by the French Ministry of Education, which lets you teach English in France for a period of one academic year or even more if you want to. And they select candidates from Anglophone countries. Having said that, this program is not just for English speakers, but it also exists for other languages. In order to apply for this program, you need to be a student. You need to have a B1 plus level in French and a 7.5 in IELTS. Apart from all of that, a strong love for everything French, just like me. So if you do think you have all of that, go apply for the program right now. And while you're applying for the program, you can also choose between primaire and secondaire, as well as you get to choose 3 academy. Give a preference of 3 academy, and academy is like a region in France, and you could be placed in any city in that particular region. I often get asked on my Instagram which academy should I apply for, which academy is the best. And even though I've been to France several times, this still isn't a very easy question to answer. In this video, I'm going to equip you all with all the right resources so that you all can make that choice for yourself. And on this discovery of the French Academy, we're going to travel all through France and meet some new friends. Are you ready? Let's get started and explore the wonders of the French Academy together. And of course, create the best version of your Kahani Francaise. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel before that.
Hey guys, I'm Aishwarya and I went to France as assistant d'anglais in the year 2022, and I was placed in Alps, which is in Académie de Grenoble. I was teaching in École Primaire, École Maternelle as well as École Élémentaire. As for my accommodation, I had gotten in touch with my conseiller pédagogique, who is the contact person for primaire assistants. Through them, I got the contact of an ex-assistant who lived in the same town the year before I went to France. So the accommodation was 110 euros per month, which is pretty cheap. But while I was living there were a few problems, so I had to eventually move out. But I ended up living with a French family after that, so it all worked out great after that. So the things that I appreciated during my stay in Académie de Grenoble and France in general, one is being surrounded by nature, by mountains at all times. It was great weather-wise, a little cold, but I managed to deal with it. The second thing would be that the administration, the people in administration were quite helpful, especially when I needed help with my accommodation situation while I was looking for a new place to live. And the third thing would be the fact that Académie de Grenoble is quite well placed geographically. It's close to Italy, it's close to Switzerland, and Nice in the south and Paris in the north. They are some 3 to 4 hours away maximum. So travel wise, I think it's quite comfortable. Things that were a bit tricky, I would not say disadvantage, but they were tricky. One is that maybe it's a school to school thing, but at my school the teachers were not very involved. I had to prepare everything from scratch, and I had to be in charge of the discipline as well at times, so that was a bit difficult. Another thing was that there was not much to do in my town, so it was a bit interesting to find things to kill time with. And the third thing would be that accommodation in general is difficult to find for premier assistants, especially in Académie de Grenoble, which has like university cities. Overall, I would rate my whole journey in France a solid 8 out of 10.
Bonjour, I'm Prajakta and I was part of the Assistana program in 2019. I was placed only in one school for secondaire and I was placed under the Marseille Academy in a city which I know most of you wouldn't have heard of. It is a small town called as Orange in the southeast of France. The closest big city is Avignon. Even though it's a very small town, it has got a typical Provençal vibe and it has a big Roman amphitheater. So in case you're placed in this region, you must visit this place. When I got to know about the program, I started looking out for options to stay and I started contacting my professors, and I was lucky enough that one of the professors in my school was renting out two of his studios. So that's how I found my accommodation, and the rent was 450. The rent was quite high than what any other assistant would pay, but as it's south of France, the rents are quite high. As it's a small town, there are not many options to stay, so I had to choose the studio. But to tell you about this academy, I loved to be in south of France. I could discover the region very easily, and even though it's a small town, it had a rail connectivity, it had buses, so I could travel very easily. And the best part was good weather, a lot of sun. So I loved being in south of France. The only less convenient part was, like I said, I had not many options for stay, so I had to pay a higher rent. And in winters especially, there were not many activities to do in the town, as it's very small and things the shops start getting closed very early. It's dark in winters, so that was less convenient. But other than that, I thoroughly enjoyed my stay in Orange. So I'd say I would rate this experience 8.5 out of 10.
Bonjour from the beautiful city of Rennes. Now I'm going to give you a peek into Académie de Rennes. I was assistant d'anglais in the academic year 2018-19 and I had chosen secondaire, placed in two high schools in the city of Rennes itself. Now, the one big task when it comes to prepping for this journey is finding accommodation. Oof! For most assistants in secondaire, the school usually helps look for accommodation or provides one of their own. I was provided with a perfect little apartment owned by the school itself at a subsidized rate that I had to share with two other language assistants. However, if one has to find a place on their own in Bretagne, like in other regions, websites like Le Bon Coin, Apartaché, Se Loger will help you look for good options, as will connecting with students already studying in different universities in and around that city through Facebook groups, for example. You can even get in touch with previous assistants for guidance. So connecting does help. Speaking of the region, Bretagne is a beautiful region to the northwest of France, and anyone who gets into Académie de Rennes can be placed in any of the cities spanning from Rennes to the eastern part all the way up to the coastal city of Brest to the west. The people are warm and welcoming and quite helpful, I noticed, whether it be work-related formalities or simply to meet and greet. For the wanderlusting heart, there are so many beautiful places still quite untouched by the intense tourist population, and thus a real treat to explore. The local delicacies, the changing weather, the vastly diverse landscape, Bretagne will give you a wholesome experience. So if I had to rate my academy experience out of 10, I would give it a solid 9. That 1 point I can attribute to perhaps the fact that to get to any other place in France, if it's via bus or train, most routes connect you first to Paris and then to the destination. So planning for that additional amount of time does help. But again, something that's easily managed. All in all, I loved every bit of my time there, and here's hoping you do too. Au revoir.
So I participated in the program last year in 22-23, and I was placed in Académie de Reims, a famous known as the Champagne City. And I chose to teach in Secondaire, so I was placed in two college, two middle schools in the city of France. Talking about housing, I lived in a teacher's dormitory in one of the lycées in the city. And to be honest, this kind of housing is really beneficial because one, it is really cheap. I paid like 200 euros a month, which was great considering I was living in the city center. Secondly, they provide you with a lot of amenities like a fully equipped kitchen, a fully equipped laundry room, living room where all of us assistants would gather and have soirees. So that's wonderful. And the third best part about this type of housing is that you live with people of so many different nationalities. And honestly, that helped me battle loneliness, which is an issue that most of us face during this program. What I really liked about my academy was that they held true intensive orientations throughout the span of the entire program. And we even had a guided tour in the beginning of the program, which was great. And secondly, they provided us with a booklet full of activities for secondaire and primaire, which really came handy. It was really resourceful. And the third best thing about my academy was about the region in particular, that it was very close to Paris, which is an advantage in my eyes. It was just like 45 minutes via train. The only inconvenience of this academy, in my eyes, is the lack of cultural immersion. So, if you are someone who is looking to truly immerse yourself into the French culture, then it might be a bit complicated. Otherwise, I had a great time in this academy, and I would rate it a solid 8 on 10.
Hi, my name is Ankita and I was an assistant d'anglais in the Académie de Besançon in the year 2019 to 20. I selected École Secondaire and I was placed in a lycée in the city of Besançon, and I was put up in an apartment in the lycée along with the other language assistants, and we paid a rent, more like a maintenance fee of about 80 euros a month. So I selected this academy, and my major reason for this was that about 40% of it is forested, and Besançon is the greenest city in France. So being someone who really loves nature and enjoys hiking, this was, the perfect choice for me. And I was lucky to, get my first choice and be placed in the major city as well. And it was really an amazing experience because there were so many hikes, I could take on a daily basis within the city, and then so much more to do on the weekends and otherwise. Also, this region has, fortifications which are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So there's always a lot to explore. But the major advantage was that this is a very small or rather intimate academy, because not many people A, know about it, B, choose it, and C, get selected for it. So it was possible to, have a lot of intimate connections in terms of your peers, teachers, the prefecture, and even the other assistants. And more than anything, it's a very sorted, well organized academy. Everything was, everything was done so properly, everything was so streamlined. No one had any form of any kind of issues. And to give an example, people were waiting for the acceptance letter from their respective academies. Meanwhile, I had confirmation on my accommodation also months in advance, and I just had to go and enjoy. But given all this, there is one major drawback, which is that it's a very rural area, and it's also the poorest region of France. So it's not very well developed or connected. So while, for example, it's on the Swiss border, to go there, you need to go through major cities, like you need to first travel to cities close by like Strasbourg or Lyon. And just getting around gets a bit difficult. And also, if you like the hustle bustle of the city, nightlife, buildings, then it can get a little dull and boring. So choose wisely. But for me, it was an amazing experience. I would give it 100 on 10 and go back in a heartbeat if I could.
I hope this video was helpful for you, and if you want me to come up with a part 2 of the series where we explore even other Academy of France, then don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to my channel. A grand merci to all of my friends who participated in this video and shared about their assistant d'anglais journey. Donc, merci beaucoup à vous, and merci beaucoup to all of you all watching. Au revoir!